Diatonic is just a fancy word for staying within a key. So it means we're not using any other notes or any chords or anything else that's outside of the key. We're just sticking to that one key. That's all diatonic means. Now, substitution means that instead of playing one chord, we're going to play another chord. Now, we have three main chords. We have our 1 chord, our 4 chord, and our 5 chord. So the main idea here is that we could substitute a 1 chord for another chord or two, and our 4 chord for another chord, and our 5 chord for another chord. So when a song calls for a 4 chord, we can actually try switching it out. Now here's the kind of basics of it. For our 1 chord, we can substitute a 3 or a 6 chord. For our 4 chord, we can substitute a 2 chord, and for our 5 chord, we can substitute our 7 chord. Alright, now I'm in the key of G, so that means what I just played was a G, and we can substitute that G with an E minor or a B minor. And for my 4 chord, here's my 4 chord in the key of G, which is my C, and I can substitute that with a 2 chord. And my 5 chord, I can substitute with my 7 chord. Now I have a whole video series called Usable Guitar Theory in which I kind of go through how to build chords, how to build scales, and how we could do all this. But I'm going to kind of give you a quick rundown of why we can substitute these chords with another. Now if I take a look at my 3 notes that make up my G chord, which is G, B, and D. When I go to my E minor chord, I have E, G, and B. Now what I'm kind of seeing is I'm seeing 2 notes that are the same. And so that's one of the reasons why we can kind of swap them out, is that, you know, it's sharing 2 out of the 3, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So here we go. Now we're going to go to B minor. Same sort of thing. When I build my G chord, my G, B, D, and when I go to my B minor chord, I see a B, D, and F sharp. So there we go. We're actually kind of keeping 2 of the same notes, even though we're switching chords. Now they have different root notes, that's what gives them a different feel, but nonetheless, their notes are close enough that our ears will adjust to that. Same thing with our 4 chord and our 2 chord. My 4 chord is a C, which is built C, E, G, and my A minor is built A, C, E. So I see that C and the E are the same between both our 4 chord and our 2 chord, which means we could swap them out. Now same thing with our 5 chord and our 7 chord. So here's my D chord, which is D, F sharp, A, and then my 7 chord, which is F sharp, A, C. So we kind of share 2 of the same notes there, especially if we build our D7, we'll start seeing that like a 7 chord, D, F sharp, A, C. We'll definitely be seeing a lot of the same notes there as well. Melody is king. So most likely, if our chord substitution isn't working, it's mainly because the note that the melody is hanging on is probably one of the notes that's different between the chord that we're substituting and our main chord. I also wouldn't try this with blues. I know a lot of times you hear 1-4-5s with blues, but I think blues is an animal all of it itself, and it's not really going to sound very good if we try putting in these diatonic substitutions in that. But what I will show you is how a song like Silent Night, I mean everyone knows Silent Night, right? And how that is going to work with chord substitutions. So, if we have Silent Night, it's mainly going to be revolving around our 1 chord, our 4 chord, and our 5 chord. So here's Silent Night. Here's 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 1, and then back to 1, 4, 1, 1, 4, 1, then we have 5, 1, 1 again, and then we have 1, 5, 1. This is a perfect song in which we can kind of see where we could kind of implement some of these. So with Silent Night, maybe instead of just hanging on that 1 for so long, maybe for this next note, I'll hit an E minor. So, and then maybe the next chord would be normally a 1 again, so maybe I'll go 3, back to 1. So there we go. Instead of just playing our 1 chord, our G chord for a very long time, now what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be going Now again, that was just something I just came up with right here. Feel free to kind of see what works out best for you and in terms of these diatonic substitutions. Now next for that 5 chord, I tend to like the 5 chord. Maybe instead of, I'll throw in a 7 chord on that note. So here's 5. And then gonna go back to 1. Maybe we'll go to 6. To 3. And then I'm gonna go 2. 1, 6. I'm going to go to 4, to 2, 1, 6. Then I'm going to go to the 5. And I can throw in a little diminished thing since that 7 chord is diminished. And then I can go to E minor. And then back to E minor again. And then I can go to E minor. 5. D, 7, back to 1 again. Alright, so there's how I just kind of played with just a 1-4-5 song, like Silent Night. A great couple ways to try this is maybe try something like Yankee Doodle, or something like that you definitely know the melody of and that can fit over just a 1, 4, and 5. As you can see, the possibilities are endless. Like I said, if something isn't working, try another substituted chord, or maybe just try going back to the original chord for a little while until it works. It's all about training our ear to hear these sorts of things, but I find this to be a really cool way to kind of spice up some chords, a song that we know, or if we kind of have a song that we tend to just sit on one chord for a while, then now we kind of know where we can move from there.